Peace, power, prosperity. Peace, power, prosperity. It's your comrade, your brother, Yafeuh Balogun, back at you one more time, one more time, one more time. You see, as you can tell, I got CBG online with us. CBG online with us. And it's a critical question that I know a lot of folks have, and when you come into realizing, I guess your indigenous reality, if you will, and you start to understand more traditional values and things of that nature, I guess a question always pops up. And so I wanted to ask CBG, see if he can give us his understanding on this particular question. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the question without no further ado. So, CBG, can white people join African traditional spiritual systems, or I should say, can white people join Ifa as we know it? If you could explain to us what Ifa is, and if you could explain to us, in from your perspective, can white folks join this type of movement?
Okay. Excuse my seat or my lay down. I don't feel too good today, but I'll go ahead and oblige you and try to answer your question. Can white people practice E5? Because first you asked me like three questions right then, so I'll try to tackle all three of them. Can white people practice E5? Okay. E5 is the tradition of the Yoruba people. Um, I guess if they go to a babalawo and get divined upon, and a Rumila say it's according to their destiny, then they could join. It's not for me to say they can or can't. That's the difference between EFI and different and other religions. Um, and in your major uh, religions such as Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, you talk to God, but God never talks back. In E5, we talk to God and God talks back. So the answer to your question is you would have to ask Orumila through Ikin or Pele, also known as Dafa. What was the next question? Can white people practice African traditional systems? Um, African traditional systems, ATRs, are based in ancestral veneration. Uh, my question to that would be, why would a white person want to venerate my ancestors? Uh, uh, if we go and we ask my ancestors if they will adopt a white person, they may adopt that white person depending on that white person. I don't know. I don't know. It has to be. We would have to ask the spirits, the spirits of the dead in my family, if someone can be initiated into my bloodline, to my lineage, because this is ancestral veneration. But my question would be to that white guy is, why do you want to honor my ancestors over your own? You know, uh, white people have ancestors too. Everybody on the planet has ancestors. Before these major religions took hold of the planet, everybody practiced their own indigenous spiritual systems. Uh, the Celts practiced what is it, Druidism. Um, the Romans had Saturn. What do you call it? When they venerate Saturn and Neptune and all those people.
Satania.
Yeah, the Greeks have, their whole Greek pantheon, with Poseidon and Zeus and all of those characters. If you go into Germany, Germany came out of the Scandinavian traditions of Thor and Zeus and all those people. Um, all these different traditions are earth-based systems. They're all venerating the forces of nature and their ancestors. So my question would be is, why would that person want to honor God, my ancestors, and the forces of nature from my tradition when they have their own? Maybe they forgot their own tradition. Maybe their family's been in one of those three major world religions for so long that they don't remember how to honor their ancestors in their traditional way. At that point, I mean, just depending on the person, I would go to my ancestors in divine and ask would my ancestors adopt that person to teach them my spiritual tradition, using my tradition to honor their own ancestors. So, to answer your question is, I don't have the authority to give the answer. The answer must come from Oromila if we're going to Ifa, or the spirit of the dead if we're going at Gungun.
Okay. Okay. Hey, that's just really a question that I really have heard tossed around a lot, and I see folks talk about it online a lot. And there's
I made a video about it one time, and I had people all in my comment section said, no, because they white, they just being racist. They have their own biases and their
mm-hmm,
own opinions,
hmm
so they are choosing to deny people based on skin color. However, I mean, skin color is relative to the physical. I'm black, you know. My wife is Mexican and white. My kids are light skinned. If my daughter marry a white man, my grandson will be a white boy. Should he not practice my religion? Should he not honor me because
hmm
he's a white boy? He's still my grandson, you know. As I look back through my lineage, you know, I have fair skinned people in my lineage. I have dark skinned people in my lineage. Should we alienate the fair skinned people? You know, racism is a physical thing. We're talking about the spiritual. We're talking about voodoo, you know, spirit.
Gotcha, 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 gotcha. Wow. So that's really the question I had. I kind of wanted to talk to you about it.
And let's go a little bit deeper, brother.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's go. Let me ask you a question.
Well,
Based on tradition, we are reborn through our lineage, through our bloodline. Okay. Now, if a man, let's just say a man, he goes out, he got 5 baby mamas,
hmm
take care of none of his kids.
right,
He ends up in prison.
right,
He do 40 years,
right,
never raised his kids.
right,
His kids grew up in the projects,
right,
became gangbangers.
right.
He died and he was reborn through his lineage, and he was reborn as a kid in the project with all the struggles of a kid in the project. Should you pity him?
So again, I think we you asked this question offline already. Um, so this is just my personal perspective because you asked me what's my perspective. My perspective as a kid, they bear no responsibility for the failures of their predecessors.
That's not an African way of thinking.
So I mean, we not. I mean, you asked me to. That's basically asking me, do is one of my cousins responsible? Should they be held responsible because of something that they grandfather may have did? Now I understand what your argument is in terms of the reincarnation aspect. Now, I'm not dismissing that, but I'm just telling you on face value of
Yeah,
what you stated. I'm not gonna hold that kid or anyone else for that matter. Uh, that's born after that person responsible for what that person did. It's like it acts of war. In war, the victors oftentimes they'll wipe out towns and cities and all these different type of things based upon the actions of a handful of people. Let's just say, for example, let's talk about World War II. When you look at what the Nazis did in places like Poland, and when the Polish Resistance Army when they was organizing, which was basically like a grassroots unit. This was not a military. This was basically civilians doing guerrilla warfare, and they would attack on certain levels, not detrimental, but potentially could injure one of the German soldiers. When that happened, the German soldiers or the Nazis would go to the closest town, and they would make everybody line up in the town center, and they would basically massacre everybody in the town center. And so yeah, so that's my point. I don't think that a person can be held responsible for what they predecessors did, mistakes they did, or even the good things that they did. I mean, we can't necessarily control, in a sense, the families that we were born into. We were just kind of born into it, and we more or less have to make do. Now, if you could though, if you could, if you could explain your perspective, just so folks here know what you was talking about, and why you said that, because that
Well,
I like that what you were saying.
traditionally, uh, as we're going through ATR, African Traditional Systems, people are reborn through their lineage. So me, I'm here. I'm country black guy. One day I'll die, and I'll be reborn through my bloodline, and I'll be reborn into whatever situation I left my family in. So that's what the basis of my question. Should you pity me when I'm reborn if I set all of this up? If the reason why my family's going through whatever calamity or whatever prosperity they're going through is based off the works that I did, should you pity me as a child? Or I mean, go the other way. Um, well, we're not gonna go the other way. But if it's just say on the negative side, if I left my family in a messed up situation and I was reborn into that negative situation, should you pity me? Now I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to go on a little political with you, brother. I ain't want to do it, but I got to, brother. How do you feel about reparations? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
It's twofold for me. Uh, I'm going to say that black people obviously are owed reparations. And hold on, let me chime in. Let me chime in because I know you want to speak. I believe that black people are owed reparations. That's first and foremost. They are owed reparations, and I say that because other nationalities and other folks around the world related to anything got to do with these Western powers have been paid reparations. The Japanese have been paid reparations. The Jews have been paid reparations. The American Indians have been paid reparations. Everyone has been paid reparations. And there was a president within the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, in between those during the beginning of the Reconstruction period, that stated that black folks should get 40 acres and one mule, which was supposed to be an example of reparations. And there was also a Freedmen's Bureau set up that was supposed to ensure that this happened for the benefit black people. So that's going to be my first answer to say yes. Black people are owed reparations for that very reason because this country intended to pay reparations and it was making moves to pay reparations. It never did. And then the second part is that they have paid every other group. And if you disagree, we can go online and I can show you that who they have paid reparations to, and so far there has been a conversation that has started up thanks to Representative John Conyers, who basically uh, had been submitting this bill in Congress since forever, about reparations to blacks, and that's why we even having this conversation. And then there's another organization called NCOBRA, National Coalition Against Blacks for Reparations. I may have it slightly wrong, but NCOBRA is actually the legitimate group that has been leading that conversation since its inception. Now there are some other groups that have came about the last few years that have not only that but other political agendas tied to them. But at this very basis, this conversation is basically owed to blacks. I mean, in Cobra, I should say, and basically Nation Islam as well, kind of having that conversation. So that's my response to what you said. Should blacks be paid reparations? Absolutely. Um, you know. Period.
Okay. So I went political just a little bit. I didn't want to steer the conversation. I just had to touch on that based on your spiritual response to reincarnation and pitying a child when a child is reborn through their own bloodline, being placed into whatever situation that they left. So you said that you, in one hand, you said that you don't hold against a child what their predecessors have done. On the other hand, you're saying that blacks are owed reparations by the children of their past slave masters. So you got to pick one, brother. Are you for? I mean, or do you believe that people are born through their lineage and are having to deal with the situations that they left, or are you saying that they shouldn't have to deal with the situations that they left?
See, so just so you know, this is a rehash of a thing that we had several weeks ago, a couple of times. So I know where you coming from. I don't want to go there, but I, I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to leave it be, and I know you're going to have a response to it. There is a certain level of racial oppression that exists currently.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna leave it as simple as that, brother. That obviously I know you a free man, and obviously what's the benefits of coming with a free man we do accept, and you've done great as an individual, but just to piggyback and go back around, just to reiterate. So you correct me if I'm wrong, just so everyone that's listening, potentially be listening here in the future. You're saying that uh, white people may be able to join just based upon what the ancestors. Make sure I'm using the correct terminology. That whatever Orumala, the ancestors, say about their ability to be adopted into the traditional systems from Africa, or particularly the West African section of the continent. Is that a correct statement?
That
If
is
I'm not,
correct. I
okay,
don't own the tradition, so I can't put you in there or kick you out of it.
okay,
It's solely up on the spirit. Ancestral veneration is serving your ancestors.
mhm,
Um, getting an becoming initiated into Ifa. Um, you're serving Ifa. You're serving Orumila. So if Orumila accepts you, I have no say so over that.
okay, okay. Well, fair enough, fair enough. Hey, if you all can do a big favor, I know some of you all may not be familiar with African traditional spiritual systems or whatnot. The purpose of me having this conversation is I like to bring information to folks that they ordinarily would not come in contact with, first and foremost. So I just wanted to kind of put that information out there. Um, CBG is basically stating that African traditional spiritual systems is just like any other way of life, if you will. That if you are a human being, you have a spirit. That obviously you can join these groups potentially, join these groups and be a part of them, and they're not going to discriminate against you based upon your racial background. That's the understanding that I got. That we just talked about here, and I want to kind of bring this up. Now, I
Brother,
do.
let me explain the system to him first
Go
too,
ahead, go
because
ahead,
there's
brother.
there's plenty of misconceptions.
Go ahead.
I'm an initiated egun. I'm called an egunawo. That means I'm a quote unquote priest of the dead. The dead meaning ancestors. Um, it's actually like voodoo. I know people hear that term all the time, voodoo. Um, in this tradition, we believe that there is one God. We also believe in our ancestors, like in if we're taking the one of the three major religions like Christianity. In Christianity, Islam and Judaism, all of them, um, these are tribal books for the people that it was written for. You look at the life of King David, King Solomon, Saul, who was turned into Paul. You look at the life of Ananias and all of these people, and you see where God agreed with them and loved them, and where God was made angry by some of their deeds. And you try to not fall where they fell, and you try to rise where they rose. So the Spirit of God can rest upon you, and the blessings of God can rest upon you. This is the same thing that we practice in our tradition. I honor one God. I look at my ancestors, just like how the Hebrews look at King David and all these people and analyze their life. I analyze the life of Muddia and Paw Paw and Granny D them, you know, and where they fail, I try not to fall. And where they ascended, I try to ascend. So this is just my tradition. The term voodoo actually is a foreign word that simply means spirit. Um, there was a smear campaign that was done against black religion due to the Haitian Revolution. In Haiti, slaves rebelled. They went out to the bayou, to the swamps, and they had a meeting. And in within the meeting, um, they organized themselves. They pulled out a pig, a black pig, and they sacrificed that pig to a spirit called Ogun. Ogun was actually the first general of the Oyo Empire. He was the Oyo Empire was the empire of the Yoruba people. They sacrificed the pig to Ogun, and they said that they will no longer practice the traditions of their oppressor. They would practice the traditions of their ancestors. And they asked God to imbue them with the spirit of Ogun so they may go out and wage war on their captors and free themselves. And when they came out of that swamp and they started the rebellion, they indiscriminately killed. They killed men, women, and children. Anybody that they can get their hands on. There was an the island of Haiti was overpopulated by black people. They severely outnumber the whites. So the white people that were able to get away from the island went to the other French territory of Louisiana, and they told stories of how the slaves had went out into the bayou, into the swamps, and conjured the devil. In Louisiana, up until that time, enslaved people were able to practice their religion at Congo Square in New Orleans. After then, voodoo was outlawed for 50 years, and a smear campaign went across the United States. That's the reason why we look at African religions as the way we look at them today because of the smear campaign that went on. But being an African American man, I will not denounce my ancestors and my heritage. I love myself. I love my heritage and I love my grandmama and my grandpa, and I won't denounce them. But I want to put that out there that I believe in one God and I honor my ancestors. That's all.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Another powerful interview, CBG. We definitely appreciate you very much for in your. I don't know if you're still sick in your sickness, if you will. We
Yeah.
hope you get. We hope you get better. Uh, we appreciate you jumping online and kind of answering this question, which I hear kind of tossed around quite a bit in certain circles. So definitely appreciate that. Any closing thoughts? Or that's basically it.
That's all. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Well, peace, power, prosperity. If you all can do me a big favor, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, respond. If you disagree with CBG, let me know. I'll bring you on. You know what I mean? I'm sure he wouldn't mind coming on as well. If you disagree with anything about ATR or its legitimacy or anything of that nature, feel free to comment. I'm sure he'd be willing to have the conversation. You correct me if I'm wrong, CBG.
No, I have a conversation with anybody about anything.
Yeah. If you say Christianity is a better way of life, and I like to have a conversation with CBG about it, then most definitely. If for my Muslim brothers, my Muslim akis, hey, if you say, hey, Islam is a way of life and the submission of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best way, then hey, let's talk about it. But outside of that, we definitely appreciate it, CBG, for jumping on. Like, share, subscribe. This has been your failed Balogun Street Reporter. Hey, check out my shorts. I'm showing you live in the community, little things that we doing in the community for the benefit of the community, particularly in Highland Hills. Highland Hills has been a community that we've been working in for almost 10 years now, 10 years strong. We've been in Highland Hills, trying to support the children in Highland Hills, trying to support the families in Highland Hills best way we can, trying to spread the love and show the joy and the things that we're supposed to have as a community. Try to be a community and not be something that's destructive. If you can help us do that, that would be absolutely great. Again, we appreciate CBG for jumping online. Country Black Guy, we appreciate you so much, and we'll wait on the responses. Please comment if you you know got some disagreements. Nothing is taken personal. Everything is used to learn and grow. Peace and power and prosperity.